Welcome back to another edition of the Millennial Gems podcast. It is your host, Killa, the God Millennial. And you already know who pulls up next door, Sitchy.
What it do, my boy? We're back at it again with another one.
Another one.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know how this works. We don't waste no time. We're going to get right into it. All right, so today I wanted to get in, since we both in the e-commerce space, I want us to talk about, when we're sourcing products, because I'm pretty sure we both use, the sourcing our products from like overseas and stuff, like, like sites like Alibaba and stuff like that to, put our clothing lines together. So let's just kind of just talk about like what that process is like what's the breakdown from like start to finish, like how many manufacturers do we need, like what's the questions you're asking, what is it that you're trying to see, how do you know like if this is like a supplier that you want to work with, and kind of just the process of like how you set up your store, and then like how I set up my store with it. So I honestly, I had no idea about what Alibaba was. I never knew it existed until about 2020, before like kind of in the, right when the pandemic was kind of like kicking off, kind of like I was still kind of doing like Forex and like trading and MLM and stuff like that. But I wasn't thinking about like e-commerce. Like that didn't cross my mind yet, not until like later in the year when I found out about this guy named Chris Johnson who was teaching stocks, but he had also ran like a class on e-commerce. So I was like, all right, selling a product, selling a service, that's something that interests me. So that's when I came up with, the Well-Being Athletics brand, and, the rest is kind of history with that there. But yeah, learning about how to find like products on Alibaba, that was different because I didn't realize that there were actually so many people using that, and that was like a common, manufacturing site that people were sourcing their products from. Like I know, like shout out to like Dantes Akram, I think he uses it. Justin Phillips, I'm sure he definitely sources it. That's who kind of where he's kind of like the third guy I got put on to that was using that. But I'm sure everybody goes about using Alibaba to find their stuff. So when it comes to that process, I'll tell you mine, and then you can kind of tell me like your breakdown too. But so when I'm sourcing products, one thing that I'm looking for at least 2 to maybe like 3 what the heck?
Somebody's birthday today.
Word? Well, it ain't my birthday. My birthday was a few months ago, but shit. Anyway, yeah, so like when it comes to like sourcing products, I'm normally always looking for like 2 to maybe like 3 manufacturers that will typically sell like kind of the same exact like product. Like depending on how many products I have, I'm typically for each like piece of item that I'm trying to sell, I'm looking for at least 2 to like 3 manufacturers. And then where's all these balloons coming from?
I think the two was making it come up on like I think your hand signal or something.
Maybe am I doing
that? Yo, that was crazy.
I don't know what that is.
We'll take the balloons though, you know what I mean?
Hey, whatever I'm saying, let's celebrate it. Sorry, y'all, my bad. Yeah, so like I'm looking for like 2 to 3 manufacturers, but I'm looking for like, when I'm looking to source my products. And so like one of like the first like things that I'll come up when I say like when I finally find like a manufacturer that I'm possibly looking to work with is, hello, my name is so and so, and I'm the owner of blankety blank. My very first question is, what is the MOQ with a custom logo? Because I know a lot of like manufacturers, they'll put up they'll state like when you go to like their the page that what their MOQ is, but sometimes it might just be if it's just a blank product.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a little different for like the custom product, but um so what is it? So when you set up your store in your sweatsuits and stuff, like how many manufacturers do you have? And like
Yeah.
how many like I guess just talk about like how many manufacturers you have and kind of like what's like that first like opening line when you're like, all right, this is a potential right here.
Yeah, so first things first, I'm gonna tell you my whole situation with the whole manufacturing thing was a little different than I guess your norm, I guess. Um my one of the like you mentioned, Dantes Akram, Justin Phillips, they all had ebooks out that was pretty much, giving us free game on how to properly talk to the manufacturers and how to not get ripped off and scammed because a lot of that is going on. So in my process, before even like looking for manufacturers, I bought those ebooks and I was already just getting as much knowledge as I could because I know for one there was going to be a language barrier. Obviously, because a lot of them are from Pakistan. Some of them do speak English, but a lot of them may not understand the way you present to them. So you have to pretty much be as specific and on point to like as much as you could because if you leave any room for error in the sense of oh allowing them to say, "Oh, I thought you meant this," then essentially you're losing a lot more money than you think. Because once you make that first transaction for your payment and they start working, they already have in their mind what's going on. So before you even get to that point, you want to make sure that you clarify to them and they show you, like pretty much tell them what you want and have them recite it back to you. Because when you don't do anything, do those type of things, it's more so they'll take it in the matters of their own hand. And then what's going to happen is you'll spend money on a sample or order that you didn't necessarily want from the jump. So I said that to say this: when I first started off with my manufacturers, I was essentially going to be using Dantes Akron's manufacturer list, and a few other people that I had purchased off of. But before, so I actually had bought the ebook, so I was learning all about that. But before I even actually use this stuff, the manufacturers were in my DM. Like the manufacturers that I use, they was already in my DM, seeing my page
Mm,
and wanted to work with me. So it's funny, like the way the algorithm works on Instagram. It's like if you searching up certain things or if you talking about certain things, they're gonna those type of people are gonna find you.
yep.
And my manufacturer that I use for my sweatsuits, literally they found me. That was in my DM constantly. And it's funny, the dude that actually did my sweatsuits, he was my DM for like the past year, and I thought it was a scam page because you got to remember the way U.S. Instagram page is set up. If you don't have a huge following, and you look at their page and it has like probably like 10 people followers and they're barely getting any likes, but they got like things on their page as far as like clothing and stuff, you're gonna think it's a scam. It don't look legit. It's not realistic to what you normally look at when you
Hmm.
look at like a regular like manufacturer from the US. It's a lot more followers. The aesthetic is a lot different.
Yep.
So this dude was in my DM for the longest, asking like to please the work. He's seen the work that I do because I'm essentially a manufacturer as well. I did a lot of my stuff, my hats, my t-shirts. So they was already seeing that stuff already on my page, and they assumed I was already a manufacturer, which essentially I really am. But they wanted to do my stuff, and like I said, based off the aesthetic of their page, I paid them no mind. They just kept blowing me up. So then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, let me see what's going on. The worst thing that can happen is, you know, things go left and I just, remove the people from my page. But so for some reason, bro, something told me to respond back when it was around the time for me to make my sweatsuits. Something told me to respond back. And long story short, they ended up doing the guy that I actually go for right now. And this all came from him finding me. So when you're doing stuff, when you're searching up, these type of manufacturers or you're liking certain pages, they'll end up finding you if you can't find them. That's just one other option. But when you get to the actual conversation with them, the first thing you want to ask, because there's a lot of scamming pages, there's a lot of people that will take your money and you'll never hear from them again. And it's happened to so many people, so you got to be very mindful, and it's proper steps you got to take to. I can't say 100% avoid being scammed, but reduce your chances of being scammed
Yeah, for sure.
a lot higher than normal. So the first thing you want to ask them is obviously, like you said, what is the minimum order quantity for a sweatsuit, a t-shirt, whatever the case you're looking for. Because obviously, if you want to work with them, you've seen obviously some of their work on the page, and you're curious, so you ask them about that. And then the next question is you got to get on. So you got to get on WhatsApp and video call them. You need to make sure they have an actual manufacturer spot. A lot of them will say they got this, they got that, and they try to just send you pictures and videos. That's not gonna work. You gotta let them. You say, listen, I want to work with you, but I need to see you. I need to see your manufacturing space so I know you are legit. And the ones that are legit are going to show you. The ones that are not, they're going to give you the runaround. Oh, I'm not at home. I'm not this or that third. But taking into consideration that the time zone is a lot different. So when it's at night for us, it's the day for them, vice versa.
Yeah.
So you got to be very, I guess, considerate when it comes to that. But when it comes down to seeing that, you have to make sure that they are showing you the same way you talk to your homies. You're like, hey, let me see. Like, let them show you where things are being cutted, so that where things are being put together at. Show all of that layout, because you want them to make you feel as comfortable as possible. So once that gets situated, they're gonna tell you, brother, and they're gonna speak in terms of using brother all the time. Brother this, brother that. Those are the terms they're gonna use.
This was like the Pakistan that they be doing that. See, I haven't used too many Pakistan manufacturers. All of mine have been Chinese and manufacturers.
Yeah,
so I haven't gotten too much of that, but I mean, yeah, since you speaking from it, hey,
yeah, for Pakistan, they're gonna bro you to death for sure.
Bro, you
brother all day. But yeah, no bull. Well, excuse me. Long story short, once they show you that, and obviously they're gonna look at your page, you gotta use your page to your advantage. Like when I first started off, when I was talking to these dudes and they try to give me a number, I was like, bro, like Hollywood Shaq is my brother. Dante's Akers is my brother. Like, what do you mean? Like, what's going like? Just to kind of get some type of leverage, because they're gonna, if you have stuff on your page or the aesthetic of your page is it look pleasing, they're gonna want to work with you because that's more money they need in their pockets. They're gonna see it's gonna seem like you need them more than them, but they actually need you more than them. I mean, they actually need you more than you need them, because the money conversion is a lot different. It's a lot more over there than it is to US. So when they convert that bread, it's a, you know what I'm saying, it's a completely different ball game. But those are just things that take into consideration when you're talking to them. So you want to use your page and your information to your advantage. You never take the first option they give you as far as the payments, because you could always talk them down. Even if it's $5 or it was $10, whatever the case is, never take the first option that they give you as far as payments, because, like I said, they need you more than you need them. At the end of the day, they want you to work with them so that they can get the profit and feed their families. And they'll show you how hungry they are when they're blowing your phone up, constantly trying to get some work when you haven't given any work. That's what they will do. It's a little unprofessional, but I mean, it's a different world. I mean, it's a different country, and things are a lot different. So the hunger for them to get their money, a lot of them, that when you give them work, that's how they feed their family. So they rely on that. So that's another thing to take consideration when talking to them, because they will be on your phone blowing you up. But just be mindful of that. And then once you get to the point where you feel a little comfortable, where they've shown you some work, then you let them know you're gonna set up a 4 payment plan, 4 section payment plan, because the last thing you want to do is send your manufacturer all the money all at once, because doing that will ensure that you will get scammed. They will receive your money, tell you whatever you want to tell you here, just so it can seem like they're gonna go do their job, and you'll never hear from them again. They'll block you and pack it up.
So, all right, let me ask something here, because I'm curious, because I mean, listen, I haven't, in the 3 years that I've been dealing with Alibaba and on there, like I've never been faced with that type of experience. Like I've never been scammed by anybody, any of my manufacturers that I've used. But are you talking like once you're ready to officially like put in like your bulk order, or are you talking like samples? Like,
so if we're talking, so I was talking about the bulk order, but if we're talking
okay, bulk, because I'm like samples, I'm like, damn, okay. I was like, I definitely ain't never dealt with that sample, but yeah, bulk, okay, bulk. Now it makes sense, like you're saying that for like bulk order, like that, okay, that I understand.
If we're talking samples, ideally you're gonna probably get them for a sample is probably anywhere between like at least 5 to 10 pieces. I mean, I was able to finesse and get probably like 5 pieces, because that's all I really needed to test out. But
Yeah.
ideally, probably gonna be reaching anywhere between like 5 to 10 pieces for a sample. And even with that, you probably at least break it down to 1 or 2 payments. I mean, at least 2 or 3 payments because you want to give them half so they can start and get the materials, and then send another half once you receive. Because, like I said, once you send that money, they're not sending you that money back if there's any mistake. So you gotta send them the money to get it started. Once you feel comfortable that they're reliable, because they need to get the supplies. Whatever you're asking for, they got to go get the supplies if they don't got it on hand. So either way, you have to make some type of payment up front. But that's for the sample. You know what I'm saying? So when you're doing a sample, you get at least 2 payments. Don't give all at once because, like I said previously, it's too much room for error with that. But when we're talking bulk order, well, now we're talking bigger pieces. So we're talking 20, 30, 50, whatever. Like, I think anywhere after like 15, 20, that's considered like a bulk order for them. But you want to break them down into a 4 payment plan because, like I said, you're dealing with a lot more money, and you want to limit your chances of being. They might not scam you at all, but you want to make sure that they know that you're on point. Because if there's any room for error on your end with that, they'll walk over you with that as well. So the 4 payment process that you need to go by is you when they tell you the total price, you break it into 4 payments. The first payment is for you to get the supplies and start working, but they have to show you video, get them a video call, show you video work of them starting to work or getting actual materials. If they don't show you that, you do not send the second payment. But if they show you through video that they have got the supplies and they're about to start working, you send that second payment once you start seeing your stuff start in motion. All right. That's when the second payment comes. They got to show you. Everything got to be shown. They can't just say, oh, I did this and that. No, show me video proof. And obviously with video proof, you'll recognize your logo and designs or whatever the case may be through the video. If you don't see that, then you got to question yourself, question them, and see what's going on. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to show you that. But if they don't, that's when you got to hit them up. Yo, what's going on? I don't see, ask the questions you need. And just make sure everything's straight before you move forward for the third and fourth payment. So after that, the third payment comes when they have shown you that the work is done, and they start packing it up. Because at this point now, it's 3 stages that could easily be done within transition. So you start the work, you show me the work, and now you're done with the work. That's the third payment, right? So once they show you that everything's done, packed up, now the fourth payment, I usually wait until I receive my payment, my package. But the fourth payment comes from when they send you the tracking number, and they let you know which carrier is being used to transport your items from Pakistan to the U.S. You need to know this information. They have to send you a screenshot and copy and paste that tracking number and make sure it's legit. 9 times out of 10, if you made it to the third step, then the work is coming. The work is coming. But in that third payment, you want to make sure that they're showing you a sample of how everything looks, and it's like a brief check to show, okay, this looks here, this goes here, boom, okay, good. Now they're packaging up. So then, like I said, that fourth payment is when they send you the tracking number. Or me, like I said, I'll wait till I get the joint because a lot of times there'd be defected items that could happen because you gotta remember it's not. I mean, there's a lot of error. There's a lot of room for error, and it's just normal. Like nobody's perfect. Things happen, but when there are things where you have splattered paint or a hole in your item, then you got to talk to them about either getting some of the money reduced, or for your next payment they send you a free item or something just to accommodate that. Because you got to remember when you're paying for this stuff, your merchandise, this is things that you're going to sell, and you can't sell anything that's defective. I mean, you probably could on the sale, but you want to make sure when you're putting your stuff out there, it's as best as it could be. So that's why when you after that third step, you see everything, and you want to make sure that everything looks good. Because if you go sell a product that is done from a manufacturer that has some type of like defect on it, they're not gonna talk to you about the defect. They're not gonna when it comes down to them receiving their merchandise and they see that it's a defect, they're not blaming the manufacturer. It comes down to your brand. So it's representation of your brand. And that's what you got to understand. So that anytime you have your stuff getting sourced out from somewhere else, make sure it's legit before you put it out. Because if not, the customer is not worried about the manufacturer. They're worried about the person who shipped it out and the brand. So your name's on the line, and you got to remember that. Stay on point with everything. So like I said, once that full payment comes down and everything was good, then you kind of let them know thank you for doing business, and then obviously they're gonna ask you when are you gonna send me more orders, and at that time it's based off of you. You want to constantly build trust with your manufacturer, and don't ever get too comfortable. Just because the first order went well, don't mean the second order is gonna go well. Same process every single time. Full payments, nothing less. If you pay up front 100%, you are 100% likely about to get scammed. So
Interesting take.
in
Very
mind,
interesting take.
you got because you got to remember. And if you feel like fighting them, you're not gonna take a flight to Pakistan and go fight them. Like they you got trust me, you gotta be smart about it. You gotta just be realistic. Like they're in another country. How can I maximize this without leaving any room for error? And this is why when you're communicating with them, sometimes they may not understand as much as possible, as much as you explain through English, but send them pictures and ideas of what you're talking about so that they can see, because they may not understand the language, but through picture they'll understand it.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. No, I definitely had my fair share of like where I've sent like my mock images that I've made with like, you know, mock-ups and stuff and sent them right to that like manufacturer, and they was like, okay, we got it. Do you know,
yeah,
like the only thing I can't account for is maybe like sometimes just might be like how big I may want like the logo or something like that. Sometimes I
that
just may not know like the exact measurements. So I'm just like, all right, that's the one where I have to kind of there's a lot of, you know, back and forth because I want to make sure that it's like, I don't want to make sure it's like too small of a
yeah
logo, but I want to make sure that, it's also like, you know, a decent size.
in size. Yeah, so that's why even with that, I recommend. Depending on what software you use, they might have the measurements on it or not. Like my Cricut Design Space, where I get mine from, it has the measurements on every design. Anything you put on there, it shows the dimensions of it. So you would, if you're using if you're using the Cricut Design Space to create your designs, they literally have the measurements on there. If not, you could always take a measuring stick or a ruler. And for example, if you just had a T-shirt like this and you want to place a logo somewhere, you can see on your shirt, how this would look. You know that if it's like a polo, the polo got to be moved to the left side here, but you don't want it to be too wide out. But give an idea with a ruler, and see whatever you feel is comfortable for you, and make sure the height is correct as well. Because what happens is when your item can get distorted. I mean, the logo design can get distorted if it's not properly sized up.
Mhm.
So that's all things to take in consideration when you're sending them that. Even for your your hoodies, your sweatpants, any logo with any placement, make sure you're actually correctly telling them how far down. From the waist down, 12 inches. From the waist down, 4 inches. Literally get as specific as you could, because the more specific you are, the less room for error it is, because they'll quickly tell you, okay, brother, I understand, and then do something you don't want to do. And then you got to find out once you get your order, like, damn, they didn't even do my shit right. So when you,
Mm.
like I said, you want to leave room, if there's any room for error, leave as minimum as you could, because it can get very frustrating when you assume that they know what you want when they really don't. Because they're okay, they're okay off the rip, just because, like I said, they want the money. But you have to make sure that you're being as specific as possible, whether it's through dimensions or placing them or showing pictures of exactly what you want. So that's just from like the measurement aspect. And
Hmm.
then also when you talk about the actual quality of things, this is why it's important. You got to make sure you at least if it's something that you have already, like for example, if I had like a Nike tech suit and I wanted my sweatsuits to be the same material, you can easily look at the tag of the sweatsuit, and it is literally tell you what percent of polyester or cotton, whatever the case may be, and you let the manufacturer know. Because if not, you're gonna fuck around and get some hoodies that are thin as hell with embroidery on it looking crazy. Like you gotta, like I
Yeah.
said, be as specific as possible and leave no room for error when it comes down to detail, because they'll okay it and you'll think everything's good, and then you'll get your shit back and be salted. So just be mindful of
Honestly,
that, man. Like,
like I said, I've been doing this roughly about like 3 years now, and I haven't used any uh Pakistan supplier. So I mean, good thing that now you're speaking from this from experience, because I've never worked with one, nor have I ever managed to like, reach out to one just as yet for like the products at least that I've been looking for, the products that I've sourced. Again, like mine have all been uh Chinese manufacturers. So it's actually interesting like how you broke down like your process here, because my process is like just slightly, it's been a little more, a little different. So like me first, like what I look through all, every single photo, every single video that they have there. I do ask, also like once I kind of ask like what is like the MOQ or like custom logo and stuff like that, then I kind of just ask to see if they can supply, like, yeah, like you said, shows, can you show me some videos or photos of, you know, previous brands or some of your other previous work, like show me some other stuff that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had some who will be like, oh, I can't show you. It's got to be confidential.
You
And I'm
see,
like,
that's
oh,
the thing
I
right
was like,
there.
nope, no. It's like that. Well, conversation's over. I'm like, cool. We ain't even got to say no more. Cause I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I need to like, like I also too, I have like my, you know, uh, credentials for them. Like I need to make sure that every, like how on Alibaba it shows you like whether you're like whether they're like a verified
Oh
supplier or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
that's like a credential that I make sure like when I'm getting from somebody, they make sure it has that. I make sure it says they have what is it called? The insurance, the trade assurance.
Insurance, yeah. So
And
for the
then I
record,
tried.
for me then, just to break it down. So what I was speaking to y'all from, I was telling y'all from experience through manufacturers hitting you up through the DM on Instagram or TikTok, whatever the case may be. Alibaba,
Oh, okay,
Twitter,
okay. So
yeah,
that's okay. So this is from the DMs.
yeah,
Okay,
it's from
from
the
social
DM, yeah.
media.
So on social media,
Okay, that is wow. That was okay. Then cool. That's a whole okay. Say
yeah,
less. That was that because I okay. So that process there, I've never done that.
yeah. But you
I
still
haven't.
want
I've
to
never.
even with
I've never had a conversation with anybody on Instagram trying to. I've never done that yet. So I'm
yeah,
glad that you actually provided that perspective from
right.
social media, because
But
I
yeah,
would never
even
known about that. I never
yeah,
did that.
even with Alibaba, you still want to set up a payment plan for them. You don't any manufacturer, you don't want to get everything straight up. I mean, I know with China is a lot, the quality is a lot more higher, so things are a little more different. But at least two payments. You don't want to give everything all at once, bro, because it's putting all your eggs in one basket. So
Hmm.
just be mindful when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I probably should be doing a little bit more negotiating on setting up payment plans.
Yeah, because you got to
But
remember, bro.
like I again, I'm never not a one who to think, it can't be me. I'm never
Yeah,
not gonna think that it's never not gonna happen.
yeah,
I'm just gonna say for the record so far, I've been on a perfect record with every single supplier that I've bought in bulk from so far. Like none of them have scam me at all. They've every single one of them. They've answered every one of my questions. They gave me every single one of their measurements. Um, they show me before I even have them like send it to me. Like I make sure like they before they even package it up. I
mm-hmm.
say show me a photo or in a video of the product before you package it up. Like
Yeah.
let me see what I'm receiving first, so that way if there's like any like last minute like alterations that we're gonna need, we can do that.
That's how you gotta do. That's
But
why. That's why when you do like the first and second payment, you're checking to make sure that the stuff is on it the way it's supposed to be, because you don't want to wait till the third payment and then try to do it, and now they're gonna hit you with the you need to send another payment for this, that, and the third. Now you already asked out, because it's like if you don't send a payment, then you lost all that money for anyway, and they can start responding. So you kind of on their terms now. At that point, it's like, all right, I could either give them money so they could do this, or I can just take a big ass L right now and be salty. That's why you got to be very mindful when it comes to that, because bro, like at the end of the day, it's not like you can put on your GPS and go down the street and go pull up on
right,
them. They're in a whole different country, so as frustrated to prevent as much frustration as possible, be as specific as possible, and show details, show visuals, and make sure that they understand. When you tell them something, ask even I'm like, yo, brother, do you understand? And if they say yes, okay, I'll be like, tell me now. And if they tell me something and it's something not right, I say, oh, We got to double check this. So make sure this is right. Because like I said, bro, it may get a little tedious, but you rather get the tedious stuff done out the
No,
way
no, no.
early.
That's just part of the process.
Yeah, it's
Like
part of the
that's what it
process.
is. Like if I'm paying you for a service, I want it to be
Exactly.
I want it done
Exactly.
right. Like
You want to
I
be as
want it done
profitable
right.
as you want to be as profitable as you could, preventing all the small little errors because they're gonna come if you're not on top of the stuff. But it's a learning curve depending on where you're at. You may not be the person to kind of negotiate, but you'll learn through experience how to negotiate. Just
Yeah.
from receiving stuff that you don't want, like damn, I got to speak up now. So you'll learn. You're either gonna learn the hard way, or you'll learn to speak up front. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
all about
definitely like nobody's gonna get it on the first try. Like everybody
yeah,
trying to negotiate, in some manufacturers, yeah, they're gonna play hardball. They're gonna be like, nah, you gotta pay it all up front, and that's just what that is. So I mean, at that point, kind of you just make the choice to either, take that risk and hope they don't hold you, or you can go for it and maybe come up, get robbed. I mean, it's just one or two things. You just never know. Everything it's inevitable.
and
I
also you
mean,
gotta
like
remember too though when you're talking with these manufacturers, you gotta you'll know if they want to work with you for the long run or if they're just in it for the money. Because people they'll tell you, brother, I want to work with you. I want to do a lot of business with you in the future, and they'll actually make sure, like they'll hit you up on a day to see how you're doing. You really got to build a bond with them because at the end of the day, the better your bond is, the higher chance you'll be able to get maybe some free shipping or maybe some free extra items on the house or whatever the case may be. You just got to remember that these are people as well, and they're not perfect, but you can prevent a lot of the small errors just by being transparent with things.
yeah,
And
yep.
just standing firm. Don't let them tell you. You tell them. That's all it is.
I agree. I agree. So how many? So you just work with just this one manufacturers. You don't
So
have
actually
like
not.
how
Right
many do
right
you actually
now
use?
I worked. So I started off like I said. You got to test these manufacturers out. If you're starting from scratch and you're trying to find people, you want to test out probably like at least at the minimum 3 to 4 because what's going to happen is if one person can do it right and then another person can do it right the same thing. Now you increase the chances of getting your stuff done a lot faster because while one manufacturer is working on things, another manufacturer is working on the same thing. You can be receiving them at a faster rate. But that obviously comes down to when you're working with a high altitude. I mean, a high volume of products. But you essentially want to have at least 2 manufacturers at the bare minimum because if something goes left with one manufacturer, you have a backup manufacturer to keep things in
Mm-hmm.
cover because a lot of things, with life, things happen. The manufacturer may be dealing with a crisis at home, or maybe a holiday, or the machine may break. There's a lot of things that go left when you're only dealing with one manufacturer.
Or
So
yeah, they might be like out of like stock or something.
yeah,
They
like
maybe
a
just
lot of
ran out
things.
of stock. I get a lot of those a lot. Like a lot of some of them I'll hit up. I'll have like maybe like two or three of them, and one of them is like almost happens almost every time. One of them is bound to tell me, "Oh, we're out of stock in this one," and I'm like, "Say less."
Yeah.
Now I
So just
have
to
good
avoid
thing.
that,
I got two other options now. Well, one out of those three is gonna tell me it's out of stock, and I'm like, all right, it's cool. I'm gonna
yeah.
find maybe one more, but I'm gonna talk to these first two and see what they say.
Mm-hmm. And it's also just like it's just good to have more than one because, like I said, one person may be good at one thing better than the other, and you may just need one person that's good at jackets, and one person may be better at. So you'll have it where right there could be a manufacturer that's very good at making jackets but suck at making sweatpants, and then you have another manufacturer what's the opposite. They suck at making sweatpants but they're good at jackets. So you got to be able to just see what you want for your business, and especially if you're getting ready to do a drop order, you want to tell your manufacturer that you're dropping something a month from whatever date that they're telling you, because with shipping things go left, and worst case scenario, if they got to resend something or whatever the case may be, there's still that wiggle room for you to have before your actual release date is.
Yeah,
Like,
no, facts. Like I put that on my that's on like my Shopify store. Um, if you read like my shipping policy,
mm-hmm,
like I literally I put it in bold, like please allow like all pre-orders or anything like that. Please allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery, just because thing like you said, things happen. Like something can go wrong with their machine. Something can get it might take a little bit longer with the transition from the China to US and from
Yep,
moving carrier to
holidays,
carrier. So
the weather, all
you
that.
really do just need like that window of time. And yeah, sometimes it might take a month, sometimes it may take 6 weeks, but I put that in bold, in my shipping policy, so that way can't nobody say, oh, this it's not there. I'm like, no, read the shipping policy. Like it's there. Why is my order taking more than a month? Did you read the policy?
Yeah,
Free.
bro,
It's
like a
there.
lot
So
of
yeah, and it happens. So I make sure that that's there for people to understand. Like if you pre-order something, like if I don't have it in stock, you pre-order it. Just you're gonna have to bear with me. Like you know, you gotta give it some time.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, no, that's interesting, bro. Like honestly, like that's different because I never knew like people actually were like meeting manufacturers on like Instagram and then actually like be, doing long time work with them. Like I never heard of going like that route. I've never done that route. So I'm glad that you was able to speak on it from that perspective there, because I would
It's
have
crazy,
never guessed to do that.
bro. I didn't,
I
bro. Like I said, I paid for like 2 or 3 other manufacturers from like Dante's Akron, Hollywood Shack. I think her name was Kayla Perilla. Like I literally
Oh
paid
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yep,
to
I heard,
avoid
yep.
the whole scamming thing or whatever. But before I even went to go reach out to the manufacturer on that list, something told me to just, I'm saying, respond back to them, bro, and they end up being a long term person right now. Like he's waiting for me right now to send him some more work, which is gonna come pretty soon for the fall and stuff. But yeah, man, it's like I said, with business, it's all about a risk. You got to weigh out the pros and cons, and then obviously if the pros are a little higher than the risk, than the cons, it might be worth trying it because you never know. It may work out in your favor, it might not. So
It's all right. That's just honestly that's just part of the game.
yeah,
All
part of the
business
game.
all business. You're gonna lose money. That's just that's
It's
that's
part of
just part of
that.
the game.
And don't
You
and
know?
don't and like that's the thing. Another thing too. If you happen to reach out to a manufacturer or things go left, don't panic. It's a learning situation for you at that point. You learn what
All the
what what
time.
you what you didn't do or what you did wrong, and you got to chalk it up to the game. Know that you won't do that shit again because I still remember when I first started to one manufacturer, started talking to them. I didn't know how to like properly know what's going on. Everything was like a freestyle, but I knew out of for the basics of them, the whole thing. What I learned from Tez and all them, I had to make sure there's 4 payments. I had to make sure they video called me, and I had to make sure that I never took the first payment option that they told me. Always tried to
Yeah, try to
negotiate
just negotiate down that price.
down that price and let them know. Let them know you're bringing them business. Let them know you bring more customers. All this other stuff. Because like I said, at the end of the day, as much as you need them, they need you more. Like real rap. And
Agreed.
you'll see. You'll see. You guys see when you guys decide to go reach out to them because, like I said, it's a different world. A lot of them are using that money to provide for their families, and that's all they can really rely on when it comes to that. So the hunger is definitely there. And like I said, there's some manufacturers that are iffy the same way. But it's life though. You got good people and you got bad people. You got good manufacturers, you got bad manufacturers. You just got to know how to weed them out. That's all it is.
Exactly.
None's gonna be perfect.
Process is a process.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, so
process.
like I know like when I go about like okay, so how I go about my processes is like I told you earlier, I'm always looking for at least bare minimum 2 to 3 manufacturers. And this is just again trying to find things. This is even before we get to bulk order. This is just me trying to find them out, weed them out.
Mhm.
So once I find one that I like, I start off like I said earlier, you know, hi, my name's so and so. What is MOQ? That after that, I'm asking, okay, can you show me photos with other work if you've done? You show me that, cool. Can you now show me? I'll send them the logo, my logo,
Yep.
and then I'll say, can you provide mock images with this logo? And then I know a lot of them, they would ask me like what size or stuff like that, or what position, or where do you want your logo? And I'll tell them that. And honestly, that's where I think it kind of really gets more interesting, because it's like now, all right, it's like, all right, make this, you know, make this logo just a little smaller,
Oh, yeah.
or move it a little bit more to the left, or, you know, try to move it downward just a little bit, you know, it's just like it's just so much dialogue going back and forth with like the attention to detail.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man.
So that's really like the main course of it all for me, is just like making sure that that detail is cool. Cause I'm like, before, if I'm even gonna look to ball, I gotta make sure that when the sample comes in, I gotta make sure that one, what you're showing me there, and then like I also need to make sure I like the quality of it. Cause it's
Right.
like, if
That's another thing.
I've only had there was a manufacturer when I had them make the product and I paid for the sample
Hmm.
and I received the sample, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going with the bulk order for this, because one, I didn't like I didn't like the product. I didn't like what was this. Not that there was anything like wrong with like the product. Like the product came fine. There was no holes, there was no rips or nothing like that. Logo was exactly how I told them. It was just that once I received the product, I found something better to
Mm.
put in place of that. So I was like, you know what? I won't be going further with the bulk order on this, because I just don't want the product anymore. So, I've done that with quite a few things, where I'm just like, I just let me just get the sample of it, and if I find something better, then I'll go with it. But I'll take the sample just to see how I like, how the material feels, you know, is it something that I feel it's gonna work? Is it gonna sell? Um,
Yeah.
so there's just like so many like different like parameters I'm thinking of when it comes to that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
once
another
I
thing.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that's another thing. Like, even with the manufacturer I was working with, right? Like, if they send you a sample and you're like you don't necessarily 100% like it, but you see the potential in it, and your manufacturer listens, I took you could I took a chance, and I stuck with the manufacturer so that they could see, so I could see if they can get the sample correct how I wanted, right? Because what that does is you're creating a bond with them. You're letting them know that you still want to work with them. But if they can't follow directions, that's when you call get the boot. But if you
Yeah,
allow them to work through their small mistakes and they get it right, rock with them, because at the end of the day, they're gonna appreciate that a lot more. And like I said, when it comes down to free extra items, they are more likely to do that because you have stayed around with them. But I'm not telling you to. I'm not telling you to fucking. I'm not telling you to let them do 10 samples and they've been messing up the whole entire time. Nah, I'm not saying, because that one, you're gonna spend a lot
definitely
of
don't
money.
do that.
That's a lot of money. I'm saying, if you send them a mock-up and they send you a sample back and you're like, okay, they did this right, but they don't like this. If you think it's worth it, let them try to fix it. And if they make it again and it's still fucked up, then you gotta think about it. Okay, is this a fuck up from them not listening, or is this fuck up just like a careless mistake? If you think it's an actual like mistake that they could fix again, then try the third time. But I would, after the third or fourth, then you got to start raising your eyebrows, because now, like, at the end of the day, like I said, you're wasting money. None of that shit's free. You got to pay for something. But
Yeah.
if you see the potential between the first sample and the third sample and they get it right, walk with them. Take a chance with them, because they will essentially get it right, eventually get it right. And I learned that through experience. And
I
it
know,
goes
I
both
get
ways.
that. That's why, like I said, like that whole part with like attention to detail, where I'm like, put the logo here, make the logo bigger here, move it to the left here, move it down here, like that. That's literally, once I get through that, and then we establish that, all right, I'm gonna pay for the sample, and if I like the sample, then cool. This is a go.
Yeah.
This will
Yeah, but
work.
that just comes down to, right. So like I said, when I first started, I probably tried, like, I want to say 4 to 5 or maybe even 6 manufacturers, bro. And it was one manufacturer. This was a learning situation for me. he made the right quality for the sweatsuit, but he just didn't do the position right. And then when I wanted to get my varsity jackets, yo, this really pissed me the fuck off. Like, bro, like you don't understand. Like, really pissed me off because I told you what material I wanted, and then you still would put something else on there, some shit that I could have just did my damn self. I got it's a leather jacket that I got done, and on the it's leather mixed with wool, and on the wool it was supposed to do embroidery on the thing, but he ended up putting a patch over the shit and put H vinyl on it. Like, bro, you don't understand how pissed off that made me because I specifically told you what material I wanted on there. If I wanted vinyl, I could do vinyl myself. I don't want vinyl on there. He put a bullshit ass vinyl on there, and then the thing that killed me, right? I asked him, I said, "Why did you put this on there when I told you this?" Because I thought his response was, "I thought it would look better like this."
You
That's when I
thought
knew.
it.
That's when I thought. That's when I knew I was done with him.
You thought.
And this is why I tell
Sir,
y'all. This
did
is
I
why I
not?
tell y'all.
Sir, I'm
You
paying you, sir. You talk about what you thought?
like
I
what
didn't.
you thought. I'm like,
Did
yo,
wait? Did you ask him what? Did you ask him what you thought?
bro, I'm trying. I'm like, bro, like when did I tell you to do this? Like when did I say this? And he kept saying, "But I'm sorry, brother. I'll do it the next one." Da, da, da. No, because y'all can fuck up all y'all want, and I'm still sending y'all money to continue to fuck up. No, it's done deal, bro. Like we're not. That's one thing you got to remember. If you tell a manufacturer to do something and they do the complete opposite, be done with them because they're gonna don't even bother getting a bulk order. Like this dude didn't make it past the sample phase because he made a few samples okay, but there was always something that he always did that he did on his terms that I didn't like. And you're not gonna I'm gonna do it because like this because I want it this way. No, I'm telling you a specific way because I want my shit a certain way.
Yeah, that sounds wild. I did
Bro,
it this
and that's
way
what I'm
because
telling you.
because it looked good. Like,
That,
sorry, am I like as if I'm not? Am I not paying you?
and that's why I was like, bro.
Like, son, like what?
So I said, at the end of the day, I can't go out to Pakistan and shoot the fair ones with him. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just exit out. I'm gonna block, not even block him. I just stopped responding to this dude, and he got the message. He knew what he was talking about. And then one thing you gotta remember too is if they say, "Brother, trust me, don't worry," you gotta worry. You have to worry.
Don't trust me. You
Don't
gotta
listen to
worry.
that. Don't worry, bullshit, bro. I heard that shit a million times, and then still something came back, and I say, "Bro, why'd you do this?"
Pakistanis gonna really be
Like, bro,
going in. Like,
you keep telling me don't worry, and I gotta worry. Like, but that's just food for thought. You know what I'm saying? When you work at manufacturers, if you tell them to do a specific way and then they do it on their own terms, that's a sign to be done with them. Because if they do a sample on their own terms with a specific instruction you gave them, they'll do your bulk order the same way. And when you do a bulk order like that, you already know you you asked out at that point. Like all that money is going into how they want to do it, and that's not how it's
yeah,
not that
no,
motivating.
that's not even gonna happen because like that. That's why it's like that. That whole like first sample process like that. If you have to literally get it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't get it right there,
Then you
if you
can't.
don't get it right on the sample, then there's no chance that we gonna get to the bulk order.
Yeah,
And this is
yeah.
why I'm like, I'm not ordering anything. Like I'm not giving any, I'm not sending any money yet. I'm not gonna pay that what is it called? The invoice they send
Yeah.
until I've solidified that I am good with the product that you've shown me. That we've talked through it, we've talked through the site, we've got the logo the perfect size, we've got the right material, we've got everything's in position, everything's how we talked about. Once
Mm-hmm.
that attention to detail is there, let me make sure that this is the right material, this is what I want in that sample, and that's
That's it.
that. So if
Yeah,
if
man.
y'all take anything from this for sure, just make sure you always do your due diligence and really communicate what you want. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure you have that attention to detail. Have that attention to detail. Have multiple manufacturers. Like, don't just put all your eggs in one basket and bet on one manufacturer. Don't do that. Have at least bare minimum at least 2, 3, maybe 4 manufacturers. You got to have some that can do that. You should have somebody who can, if you need hoodies done, have 40 manufacturers that can do hoodies. And then at that point you can kind of choose based off of who can get it to you the fastest, and how much each is charging. They're all going to be different. Sample prices are going to typically be a little bit more than, not always a lot more, but you're going to always pay like a higher sample price or something, because then on the back end when you're doing the bulk order, they'll take some of that, they'll trim some of that the price down once you get into the bulk order. At least that's what's happened for me, at least.
Yes, like I said, it's all about negotiating.
Also, yes, yeah, making sure you're negotiating too.
Correct.
I also I have to make sure I do a better job with that too. I got to make sure I do a little better job with that. I ain't gonna hold you.
And just let them know, like, when they work with you, you're gonna bring them business because they're gonna show you're gonna show off their work, and
Facts.
experience like that. But like I said, don't when you go into manufacturers, when you're working with them, don't go into getting a bulk order off the rip. You got it. It's a process. Start with this sample of whatever you want, and make sure that sample was good before you mass produce, aka get a bulk order. If the sample is not correct, don't even think about doing a bulk order because you're gonna waste money, and you're gonna have a whole bunch of inventory that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure when
That's
you
no
talk to
fun.
these manufacturers, and you
I can speak from that. That's definitely experience. Well,
no fun, bro.
not inventory that I don't like, but like it's just it's
You can't sell it for how you want to sell
tough.
it.
Yeah, it's tough. Like
You
I
got to
can
either
tell you
give it
that
up
from
or get on.
experience. I still got some inventory that from Well-Being Athletics that I'm like, yo, I gotta unload this somehow. Like
Yeah. Like
it's
you
just like
either
I don't really mess with it like that anymore. So I'm like, well, all right, this time around, I'm gonna make sure it what I'm gonna sell, it's gonna work. It's
yeah.
gonna work. And
Like I
I'm gonna
said,
make sure that I really pay attention to detail and make sure that I'm getting what I want and that it's
that's all
truly what I want before I go and throw out all this money, to these manufacturers.
because they won't tell you, oh, brother, double check this. As long as that money gets sent, they ain't worried about a damn thing. And also, I didn't even
Agreed,
tell you about
agreed.
the actual payment process. So there's a few different ways,
Oh yeah.
but so obviously, Cash App is not going to be an option.
Yeah, I
Zelle
don't
not
know.
gonna
You
be
got to
an
be out your goddamn mind to be using Cash App with an overseas like. First of all,
option.
don't even use any of these payment processors like that. Don't ever Cash App. Don't ever
Yeah,
Venmo. Don't ever Zelle. Well, maybe you might be Zelle, but I don't know. I don't use any of those with any of my manufacturers. I pay them straight off, just the credit card like that. Like I don't send money. I mean, I guess you can wire money depending on how you wire that money, what
yeah.
you're
So I
using to wire money.
usually do
I
mine.
don't wire money. I just pay them with the credit card. Like I don't wire money like that.
Oh, I
I'm
didn't know
not
you
a
did
I'm
like
not the
that.
biggest fan of wiring money
Yeah.
unless I like know you.
You just gotta the way I do mine is through Remitly. It's an app called Remitly, and
Mm.
pretty much you upload your credit card, your debit card on there, and for whatever state, I mean, whatever whatever country you're sending to, it'll show you the breakdown. Like if you send, it'll have the option of where you're sending to, and then obviously wherever you're from. Then it'll show you like if I'm sending to Pakistan, it'll show how much money I'm sending from US and the conversion to Pakistan. It'll literally show you the breakdown right then and there. And then they'll give you the information, and you plug the information in there, and then you send it through. It'll keep track of all the money you sent them before. Um and it's really just the best payment for right now that I know of to go through as far as sending payment. So get on that Remitly, REMITLY. Make
Word.
sure I got the icon, so you guys know, you know, um, right here. Show you. Oh, gotta show you real quick. You know what I'm saying? I don't want y'all getting scammed out here.
Hit.
There we go. Remitly right there. Boom. With the little hands.
Word.
Yeah, make sure y'all get the right app. Don't get the wrong app, man. It's right there. Pause the screen if you need to pause the screen. It's right there, Remitly. All right. But yeah, man.
Word, bro. So y'all know how it is. That's how the manufacturing game works. So for any of you who are interested in getting into e-commerce, you got plenty of options. You got plenty of game. Definitely run this episode back. If you need to, take notes and break, just hear our breakdowns again. But yeah, y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe to the channel, man. Y'all tap into the podcast.
Yep. And if you
Make
have
sure
any
y'all
questions,
buy the ebook that's in the put it in the description. If you're a millennial, how to elevate personally and professionally as a millennial. And you know what? It's free. It's a free ebook.
you
20
better tap
tips
in.
on how to improve your life. So free ebook in the description. Anything you got, Sitchy?
What I would just say, if we said a lot of information, a lot of useful information. Some of you guys are thinking about starting a clothing brand. Some of you already got a clothing brand going. And if you're curious about this process, run this podcast back, listen to everything we mentioned. This is all speaking through experience. It's not just, I think you should do this, or I think you should do that. No, this is through
Oh, there's no think on that, and this is all factual. We not assuming.
yeah,
we,
this is actual
we in the game.
the game. It's
We
actual
talking
factual.
through
So
experience.
this will help you, save money, save time, save headaches. So make sure you tap in, and if you have any other questions, definitely leave them in the comments below, and maybe we just might talk about it again in the next video.
Absolutely.
Be smart, be wise, and use what you got to your advantage till you get what you want.
Heard that. It's been another episode of Millennial Gems Podcast. We out.